Vicki here, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today is Friday, April 8th, and I am back for my stitching update. It's been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you've all been well, and you've been stitching, making, and creating all of the things. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast where I talk about my cross-stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not something that you're interested in seeing or hearing about, I show it a little bit later on in the video, and I let you know plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So hello, how have you guys all been? Hope you've had a wonderful 2 weeks since we last sat down to chat. So this video, I ended up starting it way later than I wanted to, and because of that, I only have a small bit of time to record the video before I have to leave. I always hate when I have to do that because something almost always goes wrong. So I'm hoping that the video angels are with me and I will be able to do a good video and it will turn out perfectly in the end. Because of that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to talk about what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks, and then I'm going to show you the finishes that I have done over these past 2 weeks as well. Before I do that, I do want to say a big thank you to everybody who watched my previous video, and thank you for all of the wonderful comments you guys always leave me. I appreciate it so very much. So, first up, my morning stitch. This is Fraktur Tulips by Tina Woltman. I don't know if her business name is Early Workings or if this was like a series. I don't really know too much about Tina Woltman. She used to have a like a picture trail shop online, but then picture trail went away, and I've heard rumors that she is in the process of opening her own website, either on the internet or on Etsy. I don't really know too much beyond that, but I think that Early Workings is part of a series. I could be completely wrong, and if I am, just let me know down below. So I started the Fraktur Tulips as my morning stitch. Unfortunately, over the past 2 weeks, I have been kind of shuffling it back and forth. I've been using the morning to kind of finish because what happens is in the evening when I am working on my evening projects, if I don't feel like I've gotten a lot accomplished in the evening before, or if I feel like I'm close to a finish, I feel like I'm really out of breath. I need to like calm down a little bit, but I hate when I have like something hanging over my head and I know that I have to like hurry up and get it done. That's all that's screaming in my brain right now. Okay, so I'm gonna take a breath. It's all gonna be fine. Everything is going to be fine. So, in the morning, when so like the evening before, if I don't feel like I've made a lot of progress, I will work on it in the morning for like 30 minutes. So my Fraktur Tulip project that I started last Monday did not get as much love as I wanted it to. But hey, progress is still progress. So this is what I got done over the past 2 weeks. I am stitching it on a piece of 36 count Mello by Picture This Plus with the called for DMC Threads 1/2. And I really am loving working on this piece. I like the fact that the tulips are earth tones, which I very much love. And when I get the little pillow done, it will go in the trench bowl, which I'm hoping that I will be able to get it done, fairly soon, because I think spring stays in the trench bowl until the first week or two in May, and then I switch everything out for like Americana and summer. So I have a little bit of time left, and chances are once I get it done, I probably will just leave it in there. That seems to be usually what happens, unless it like screams a particular holiday. If it's something that I feel like I can get away, having it in there longer, even though it's tulips, I probably will. Okay, next up is my Ann Thomas by Hands Across the Sea. So I did start this one right after my last video. If you remember a couple of videos back, I found an antique frame and I wanted to stitch this to go into that antique frame. And this is how far I got while it was in my 5-day rotation. And I really, really love how it's turning out. So when I started it, I started dead center, which seemed to be a lot easier than trying to go in and count, because I was worried that I would be too far over and then end up having to either restart it or do a lot of ripping out. So I went ahead, started right in the middle with the bird, which is a pigeon. And I'm stitching this on a piece of a 40 count Dusty Road by Seraphim Fabrics with the DMC that is listed in the chart, 1/2. I absolutely love it. I feel like I got quite a ways. There's a ton of stitching in the pigeon, a lot of confetti, but all in all, I felt like I did pretty well in the 5 days that it was in my rotation. It will come back into my rotation in these next 2 weeks because I really would like to get it done. So you're probably going to see it popping up a little bit more frequently than, say, some of my other projects, because when it's done, it will go into that antique frame and it will go into my bedroom. So I definitely want to try to get it done fairly quickly. I have a lot of bare walls that I need to get some stuff finished for. And then, because it was the start of a new month, I started working on Christmas Garden by Blackbird Designs. So this one is the sampler that I'm stitching in memory of my sister-in-law who passed away in November. And Yvette, who is stitching it with me, she divided it up into 7 assignments. And as long as we get our, like our monthly assignment done before the end of the month, we are on track to finish it in July. So here is my progress. So I'm stitching this one also on a piece of Dusty Road by Seraphim Fabrics. This one is on 36 count. And I am stitching it with the Vicki Clayton. It is hand-dyed fibers, I think is the name of her website, but her silk conversion. I really, really love how it is turning out. It definitely has a very like vintage Christmas vibe. Not the traditional Christmas colors that are in the sampler, but it definitely has like a more of like a vintage Victorian feel to it, and I really, really love it. Definitely, it's going to be a very unique sampler. The only thing that I didn't do is I left off, there were some doodads that were kind of around the Christmas tree and then up in here, and I left them off because I need to make sure that I have enough room for all of the initials that I will be adding to sort of personalize the sampler. So what I have to do next is I need to go in, because the next part will be this center motif. So it'll be this motif here and this one here. And I think this one, I think that's the way it's split. It's sort of this way and then this way. So up here is where I want to put my sister-in-law's name. So I need to go in and I need to chart that out. So that way I make sure that I have enough room for it and I don't have to alter this motif any. But I feel like that is a really good spot to put it. I will be stitching her name over one. And then I know I've mentioned this before, but my husband wants me somewhere in the sampler to put her date of birth and then when she passed away. So looking forward to getting back to this one. It is always such a joy to stitch on it. However, I felt so last week, I feel like I did really great progress on what I was working on until I got to this one, and I felt like my stitching was sort of going in slow motion. I don't know if anybody else ever had that happen. I just felt like I didn't start until later in the evening, because I typically will stitch from like 9 to 11. And I felt like I wasn't really making a whole lot of progress when I did stitch. So in the mornings, when I was supposed to be working on my Fraktur Tulip, I was working on Christmas Garden to try to get it done within the 5 days that it's assigned. I mean, I realized that I could pick it up during the month again and work on it at any time, but I really just like to work on it during those 5 days, and then I'm like, I've got my assignment done, I'm ready to move on to my next project, and then I don't have to think about it until the new month rolls around again, and then it's like, well, it's time to work on this again. So I just felt like when it came to this project and then my autumn at Hawk Run Hollow, I really felt like I was really stitching very slowly, and it was a little frustrating to me. I don't know why that, I don't really know why. So I don't know if anyone else has also felt the same thing over the past couple of weeks, just very, I don't know, maybe I'm paying more attention to television than I normally do. So I'm looking forward to getting back to this one at the beginning of May, and then working on that center motif. And I will, sometime between now and then, I do want to go in and I want to kind of chart out her name, because I do need to make sure that there is going to be enough clearance between that upper border and then the beginning of the middle motif. Another thing was, when I showed this last time, I had mentioned that in this spot right here, I was thinking of putting a house there. And I think that this spot's actually going to be too big, so I might move it to one of these other pots, either this one here or this one down here. So I need to also count, pull the house that I'm going to be using, and then count to make sure that I have enough clearance for it as well without having to manipulate that motif at all. And in case you're new here and you don't know what I'm talking about, when I talked to my sister-in-law that very last time, she had asked me if I stitch anything other than houses. So we had a big laugh about it, and a lot of you guys felt like, because of that last memory that I had, that I should put a house somewhere on her sampler. And so that's where the idea for that came from. All right, and then the last thing I have been working on is Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. And I do want to apologize for what is happening with the lighting right now. The sun is out, and in the position where it's at, it is reflecting off of all of the cars. And I have the curtains almost all the way shut, and it's still coming in through the window. So I do apologize for that. Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. So in my last video, I mentioned that I wanted to put this one in my rotation and work on it a little bit more because I am trying to get it done by the end of the year. One small change is I am eliminating this block section right here. So mine will be a little bit shorter than what it is supposed to be. So I am working on this block right here, and I made several mistakes, and I just decided to roll with it because I could not find my mistake anywhere. I counted everything to make sure everything was in its right place, and I still can't figure out what I did wrong, so I decided to roll with it. I think it looks okay. And here is my progress. So I'm working on this block right here. So last night I was able to kind of finish that upper owl. He's got a little bit of confetti stitches in the wing that I need to go in and fill in. I keep forgetting that I'm missing a DMC color and I need to go pull it from the box. And I keep forgetting, and so that particular DMC color is all of the acorns that are attached to the branches. So I did a little bit, I worked on finishing the tree, and then I worked on a couple of the upper leaves. That's about all I did, which I was very frustrated at myself because, you know, I'm thinking I want to get this block done. And unless I, really start stitching, I'm not going to get it done. So I need to buckle down a little bit. But I actually did not sit down and start stitching this until about 9:45 last night. And I honestly don't know where the time goes. Ever since the time difference happened and we've, sprung forward an hour, I just cannot seem to get my act together when it comes to, you know, allotting enough time to work on things. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with the DMC that is listed in the chart, 1/2. And I really, really love it. I'm really enjoying working on it. And if everything works out, I'm hoping to finish this block that I'm currently working on by the end of the month. And then that leaves 4 to go. And the next 2 are very much full coverage. So this one here has this big old barn. There's like a little stream, a bunch of trees. And then this one next to it looks like it might be some sort of a bakery. So a lot of stitching between those 2 blocks. So I definitely would like to finish the block I'm currently working on and then move on to the next one when it rolls around in my rotation again. This one's actually going to stay in my rotation for 2 more days, and then I will pick it up again next Wednesday. Originally, I think I had mentioned that you would probably see Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain, and that one I kind of pushed off a little ways into the month, so you'll see that a little bit later on. Okay, so my plans for the next couple of weeks are to continue working on Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow and Fraktur Tulips. I will also be working on The Winter is Past by Blackbird Designs, and that is also another one that I would like to get finished soon. And then Ann Thomas comes up in my rotation again. So I'm looking forward to working on all of those and showing them to you in my next video. Now, I do have some finishes that I did over the past 2 weeks. As many of you guys know, for my birthday, my dad and Carol, they got me a miter saw because I really wanted to start making my own frames, and I realized that I would need, that's probably like the main thing that I needed, and they got it for me for my birthday, which was amazing. And then for Christmas, I was able to get some of the tools that I needed. And so finally, I was able to sit down, the husband helped, and I was able to cut out some frames and paint them and then completely finish them, which it's so awesome to be able to sort of have a hand in all of the elements of every project. And also, doing my own framing will save me a ton of money. So my first fully finished piece is a Tisket Tasket Easter Pillow Tuck by Primitive Stitchin'. And I showed this one in my last video. I think I had it finished, and all I was waiting to do was put it in a frame. And here it is. So this is one of the very first frames that we made. I think this was the second one that we made, because the first one, when we cut it out, it was actually supposed to be for Ann Priest, and the very last piece got cut wrong. So we had to regroup. So this was the first frame that was cut out with no mistakes. And so this particular piece will hang in the living room. I have a candle sconce that it will hang up above. And the way that I like to do my framing is I will take the cross stitch piece. There are 3 layers of batting underneath this, and then I lace it onto a piece of mat board. And it's not that I attach it to it, it's just the mat board, I lace it on the back side of the mat board. And then this particular frame was painted with 3 different colors. I painted it with kind of a lighter brown, decided it wasn't really going to work in that color, so then I went to a darker brown, and then there's actually like little bits of black paint that I kind of distressed it with, and then I sanded it to give it the distressed look that I love, the rusty crusty look. So I absolutely love how this one turned out. The only thing that I have left to do is I need to put the hanging hardware. But this is what the back side looks like. So this is a piece of black mat board. And then these little silver pieces, they're called glazer points. I'm not sure if that is the correct pronunciation of them, but basically they look like these little arrows, and you tap them into the wood, and then that holds your piece together. I would like to get some of the I guess it's like butcher paper, and put it on the backside to sort of give it that nice clean finish. And before I forget, I stitched that on a piece of 36 count Mello by Picture This Plus with the called for DMC 1/2. Once again, I will show it. That's so cute. I just love it. Love it, love it. Okay. Next up is the Mary Bell Sampler by Homespun Prims by Lori. So I started this one at the beginning of the year, and I was able to get it finished, and it's basically just been hanging out waiting for its frame, and here it is. I absolutely love how this one turned out. I'm probably going to say that about all of the pieces, but I really, really love how this one turned out. It's perfect. I love it. So this one was stitched on a piece of 36 count corn silk by Weeks Dye Works with some of the called for DMC, and then some of the, there's a conversion that is listed on the chart, and I just use those DMC. So it's all DMC thread, 1/2. I love it. This one is going to hang in my bedroom as well. And this one was another one where I painted it, kind of a dark brown, and then I thought, well, maybe that's, because what I was trying to do is I was trying to get kind of the darker DMC colors to sort of pop out. So I knew it needed to be kind of a darker brown color. So I painted it, and then I used some antiquing wax to sort of give it that aged look, and then I went in and I brushed it with a little bit of black paint and then sanded it. But I love it. It's so absolutely perfect. I just love it. And once again, it's got the black mat board on the back. So this piece also was mounted onto a piece of mat board with 3 pieces of batting, and then I laced it. But I used a piece of black mat board to sort of finish it off, and then these are the glazer points. And then I also installed the hanging hardware. So very cool. So I had fun working on both of those pieces. And I'm very happy that they are done. I just have to get them hung up. And Mary Bell will be going into my bedroom as well. Basically, a lot of the stuff that I'll be working on, that's exactly where it's going to go, just to sort of fill in some of the wall space where there is nothing, because I took everything down except for a couple of pictures, which will be moved later. All right, so the next one is Mighty Acorn. And if I was really, really smart, I would have had the page already ready, but this is what it looks like, Mighty Acorn by Blackbird Designs. So I stitched this on a piece of a 36 count Legacy, I believe. It could also be Wren, and I cannot remember what it is, and I can't find where I put any of the information, but I'm pretty positive it's 36 count Legacy with the called for threads, 1/2. And here it is. So this frame was actually supposed to be for Ann Priest, but it got cut wrong. And this frame was also the biggest challenge. It almost ended up getting thrown into the burn pile because something was wrong with it, like from the get-go, like one of the angles or something was wrong. And even though I could get it to go together, it just did not look quite right. And then when I got to a point with it where I thought, okay, it's finally coming together, it looks really, really good, I went to measure it for the piece of mat board that was going to go onto this piece, and it was 1/8 of an inch shorter than it was here. So I definitely knew something was wrong. I took it out, I took it apart, I like busted it apart, took the staples out, and then I cut it to try to shave off a little bit more. And that seemed to work, except they still would not like come together exactly right. There was one corner that was always like a little bit off, and it was enough that you would notice it. I mean, I definitely would notice it, but I just felt like it was enough that it just didn't look right. So the husband came out and he kind of recut them, shaving off a little bit more and kind of smoothed down you know, the joint right here. And finally it went together perfectly and it looks fantastic. I absolutely love it. I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't going to be Anne Priest's, but it's perfect. It's exactly perfect for Mighty Acorn. I do have another piece of this particular wood trim, which is another thing I forgot to mention. I did purchase pieces of wood trim from the Home Depot, and they're the type of trim where they're made for frame molding. So they already have that 1/4 of an inch cut out of the molding so that you can put your pieces in. I also have bought some frames from the Goodwill, which I will be cutting down for other projects. But for the first time, we just decided we'd start with a clean slate and just kind of see, you know, what's needed for framing. So I have another piece of this. I'm going to do the same thing to that piece of wood for Anne Priest, so she will be this color as well. The only thing I'm going to do differently is I'm actually going to stain the whole piece first, because with this one I did not. I stained it after I had glued it together, and the glue, you could see where the glue had been in the joints. So I am going to stain it first and then glue it together. But I think this turned out amazing. I absolutely love this piece so very much. I just love it. It's like, it's perfect. I mean, this color here makes all of the brown just pop right out, and I just love it. And the last finish is And to All a Good Night by Blackbird Designs. So this one I stitched on a piece of 36 count aspen with the called for threads 1/2. And I worked on this last fall with Carol, Yvette, and Lauren, and it was so much fun. So this particular frame I painted red, and then I distressed it, put some antiquing wax on it, distressed it a little bit more, and then touched it up with some black paint just to give it sort of that age look. This one was also mounted onto a piece of mat board with 3 pieces of batting underneath, and I love it. I'm so happy that I have these 4 brand new finishes. I'm so happy. So my plan is to stain the frame molding for Anne Priest and then cut her out. And then I really do hope to have her to show you in my next video. That was one of the things that disappointed me the most, was the fact that her frame got cut wrong. I had to order a new frame molding because I really like that particular frame, and I feel like it really would suit her. And I was just so disappointed. We probably should not have cut that one first, but it's fine. It's a learning process. I know as time gets on, it'll just become second nature. So I'm looking forward to all of the finishing that I will be able to do. The husband thinks that at some point I should cut out frames and sell them in my Etsy shop, but I just don't know. We'll see, but I think I have a long ways to go before that happens. But it feels really good to be able to do that, and I'm so glad that my family like rallied to, you know, buy the different elements so that I could start making my own frames. So I'm very excited to see where it takes me. I did go to the Goodwill this past week and I purchased a couple of large frames, ones that can be cut down for samplers and stuff. So I'm really excited to sort of like match them up and like completely refurbish a frame. So yeah, a lot of fun times ahead. I'm sure, I'm hoping. All right, my friends, so as far as all the cross stitching goes, that is all I have to show and share in this video. Also, one tiny little change is I received some Happy Mail over the past 2 weeks, and when I paused, I went to look and see what time it is, and I only have about 15 minutes left before I have to leave. So I'm going to hold the Happy Mail and I'll show it in my next video. So I hope you guys don't mind. I did get a package from the Fat Quarter Shop that I definitely need to make sure that I show you guys in my next video. So I will do that next time. But I am going to talk about quilts next. So if that's not something you're interested in hearing about, this is a great stopping off point, and I will be back in 2 weeks to share what I have been working on. And thank you so much for stopping by today. All right, my friends, let's talk about quilts. First of all, I hope I'm not talking really, really fast. I feel like in that last little segment I did, I was a little out of breath at the end of it, and it's only because I know what time it is, and I can like hear the clock, even though it's across the room, I can hear it ticking away. Okay, so in my last video, I showed my progress on my Temecula album quilt, and I had set a goal for myself to finish it by March 31st because I was working on the 12th of the month. Unfortunately, I didn't quite make it, but a few days into April, I was able to complete the last blocks and finish my Temecula album quilt. So here's what it looks like. And I have it all put together, and I'm so excited to show you guys. I was able to, I think I put it together on Wednesday. I finished it the night before. I finished that last block, I think, on Monday of this week. And then I put it all together. I started it on Tuesday and I finished it on Wednesday. So I was really excited to get it all put together. And here it is. So I know I'm not going to be able to show it in its entirety, but if I am able to, I will take it outside and take a picture of it. But it's kind of windy today, so I don't know if that will happen. But this is what it looks like. And I absolutely love it. I know I'm not doing a very good job of showing it, but I absolutely love it. So it was so much fun to put together. I love it. So the backing fabric is supposed to arrive today. I ordered it from Thousands of Bolts, and I'm actually surprised that it's coming today because I just ordered it on Wednesday. I just ordered it on Wednesday and I saw that it was already out for delivery, which is amazing. So I'm hoping next week to quilt it, and then the plan is to hang it here. So hopefully I will have it to show in my next video, and then you'll be able to kind of see it, some of it. Not necessarily all of it, but you'll be able to see a little bit of it. Anyway, I had so much fun putting that quilt together. I absolutely love it. It's so very beautiful. I think it's going to be perfect to hang up in April and May. I just absolutely love it. And normally what I do is when I put a quilt together, I will lay it out and I'll take a picture of it, and usually Freddie comes along. But because the quilt is white and he's been a little dirty because outside, you know, he gets dirty playing in the dirt, and I just knew that if I laid it out, it would be the one time he comes in with dirty paws. So that is only why I did not take a picture with the quilt inspector. I do have a fully finished quilt. It is not the one, so a couple of videos ago when I finished this one, I said that I would not quilt it until I had quilted my Jane Austen quilt because she's been waiting a lot longer. But what happened is I was having some trouble with my quilt machine, and I did not want to put a client's quilt on, or even her, until I had fixed the problem. So this one was the one that I decided to hook up because if the thread breaks and I have issues with it, it's my quilt, and you know, I don't have to like stress about it being for a client. So I went ahead and threw this one on the quilt machine and I finished it. I did finish the binding yesterday morning. And here it is. This is the Pinwheel Quilt. And I forgot to grab the picture, but here's what it looks like. So I just did it in a swirl motif. I basically just needed to find a motif where if the machine was going to have trouble, that is the one that it would have trouble doing. So, but everything went well. And I absolutely love how it turned out. It's such a beautiful quilt. And I love that I now have it completed and I can display it around my home. My two friends so generously shared those blocks with me, so I love the fact that I have a piece of both of them. And it was such a fun quilt to put together, and I'm so happy to have another Civil War reproduction quilt finished. I love them so very much. So one last thing before I go. I don't remember if it was in my last video or the video before, but I talked about when I finished my Temecula album quilt, I wanted to start, or I had to finish my Temecula album quilt before I started working on the Civil War tribute quilt, which I have been dying to start. So I was going to be responsible, and I was going to finish the Temecula album quilt, and then I was going to get caught up on my Block Bonanza Block of the Month. I'm 2 months behind, and on my Dear Jane quilt, which I have to do April and March's blocks. So I thought, well, I would take the rest of the month and I would work on both of those projects and I would get them done. And then in May, I would start the Civil War tribute quilt. Well, I realized the other day that the anniversary of the first shots being fired at Fort Sumter is on April 12th. So it'll be the 161st anniversary. And the first block in the series is the shots at Fort Sumter. So I am actually going to cut it out this weekend, and I am going to assemble it on April 12th. So here is what the Civil War tribute quilt looks like. And this is what the block looks like. So you have to make 2 different sizes. I'm really looking forward to it. I cannot wait. So I'm going to assemble the first block, and then I'm going to put it away, and I'm going to get caught up on the other 2, and then I will return to it. And I probably will go pretty hard at the Civil War tribute quilt. I'm going to try to get it done by the end of the year, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay, because there is a ton of elements to this one. And if I can get close to a finish by the end of the year, I'll be pretty happy. So I'm really excited to begin working on it. I can't wait. And of course, I will get caught up on my other block of the months. So now, as far as everything that I have to share and show in this video, that is the end. I feel really bad that it's kind of rushed today. And my only thought is, please let the other video segments be okay. My next video, I'm going to make sure that I block off the whole entire day. And that way, if you guys have any questions about anything that you've seen, if you have any framing questions, if you have anything like that, I will have time to answer them. And then if I can get a little bit more in the Temecula album and all of that. So I will have a ton of notes that I will have to make sure that I write. So that way, when I do my next video, I can make sure that everything is answered and all the T's and the I's and all that are dotted and crossed. So if you have stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. The plan is to be back in 2 weeks. I hope you have a great one. I believe it falls after Easter, so if you celebrate, happy Easter. Otherwise, have a great couple of weeks. I hope you get lots of stitching done. If you would like to follow me in between my videos, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. I do have a Facebook page. It's called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. Everything that I have shown and talked about in this video, I will put down below in the description box if you are interested. I hope all this goes well. I hope this video goes well. I really, really do. So guys, have a great couple of weeks, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.